Hello viewers, this is Amhara TV, and today we have a special guest here in the studio, Mr. Obang Metho. He's an advocate of Ethiopian solidarity movement and also a human rights activist, and he's here in the studio to share us some points regarding to the current change in Ethiopia and regarding to human rights activities. And he's been a vibrant human rights activist in the diaspora community. So we will have a pleasant time, and stay tuned. Mr. Obang, welcome to the studio.
Thank you.
Well, you're here in Bahar Dar, I think, for the first time, if I'm not wrong. And how do you see your stay here in the beautiful city of Bahar Dar?
Thank you for giving us this opportunity to be here for me. And so, yes, you're right. This is my first time in Bahar Dar, and I was impressed with the city. It's a very beautiful city, very clean, and I'm amazed by the road. So there's many things that really, and the people are so amazing. There's amazing people that seeing them in the street. And also I did not know that people recognize me in here. So there was something that I seen. So in seeing the lake, and just as I say that, just I was amazed and impressed. But first of all, I would also like to, thanks to you and to the Amhara TV in giving me an opportunity to come here and share my view, in this beautiful city of Bahar Dar.
Okay, why are you here, and for what reason? Are you here for a vacation, or you have something to do here in Bahar Dar?
Okay. Yes, you're right, as you say that, why I am here. So the last time I was back home in Ethiopia was about 16 years ago. In the last 16 years, I didn't come back home, not because of my choice, because of the system that was in place. As you put it, that I'm a human rights activist, and so by that time, the people who used to be speaking for the human rights would never be able to come back home. So for that reason, I would say that, I now got an opportunity to come back like everybody else recently when change happening, the change that is happening in the last 6 months. And then when Dr. Abiy came to North America, we met with him, and he actually reached out and called on all the Ethiopian opposition and human rights activists and everybody to come back home, and I am one of the many people who came. But coming years, I would say for sure that before I go on to why I'm here, I would like to say then thank you to all the peoples who are giving their life so that I can be here to sit down, face to face and talk to you. And these people, I will do no justice for me if I don't remember those people. It is the sacrifice of some people that whom I don't know, the sacrifice of somebody else's sons, husbands, fathers, daughters, cousins, that made me to be here. And those people are from every part of Ethiopia. There's so many of them who are giving their life and die, went to jail, disappear, paralyzed, become disabled, because the kind of change we have today. Because, they always say that freedom is not free. So some people pay for my coming here. And to those people then who have paid their price, I would say that those who are no longer, may their soul rest in peace. And to those people who are still alive, to say thank you. And to those who have lost their loved one, to say that, your loved one did not die in vain. It's the reason that why you and I are talking here today. And so, and especially even in here in Bahar Dar, there were so many, about one time, about 60 young people, a young Ethiopian kid who were demanding change, and their life was taken away at just an early age. Those kids could be my children, could be somebody else. So they're not here, but they did not die in vain. Those who die, they die so that we can have the kind of freedom that we have today. So one of my reasons coming here, not only to Bahar Dar, to Ethiopia, is number one, to come and meet with peoples. I've been abroad for many years advocating for a human right and Ethiopian rights, and saying that I want the right of our people to be respected, saying that I want our people to live in freedom and peace like everybody else. And I've been doing it from the diaspora. Since that freedom now, I came back home to see the people who I've been advocating for. One thing that struck me since I came here and I travel in many parts of the country, every Ethiopian whom I've seen is the one that I've been fighting for or struggling for them. So when I speak about the human right, it's the right of every Ethiopian. So everyone I've seen on the street, those are the people that who I've been fighting for. So I came here to meet, with those peoples, the Ethiopian activists, even with the political leaders, and then to the community leaders, to the religious leaders, to anybody. And the idea is, yes, now we come out from the darkness. We've seen a glimmer of light. But how do we continue to do this? One thing is to come and listen to people and see how we can work together and see if there's anything that I can contribute. So it's not really for some kind of particular meeting, but again to try to create a bondage between the people that who are in Bayadar.
I know you are well known in the diaspora community or in the outside world, but there are some people that might not know, who is Obang Metho, and I want you to tell us who is Obang Metho.
So yes, so Obang Metho is just like it's a simple guy. It's not anybody, just a simple bald head guy, from the Gambela regions, and I am people know me as a human rights activist, someone who try to fight and defend the injustice, someone who fight against injustice, defending the human right. So to those people who don't know me, again, I am known on by two different views. I'm not a political leader. I never joined any political organization, but I am a social justice activist. And one thing that I really stood for and I really believe is that we come to this world as a human being. By being a human being, each and every one of us has the right to live to our potential. So one of the things, the motto we have in the organization is called Solidarity Movement for New Ethiopia. And that means to have an Ethiopia where being a human is enough. Being a human being is enough. And then once we acknowledge that we are human, is to fight for the right of every human to be respected. So that's one thing that people know me of. So to those who don't know, yes, I'm one of you who try to do his own share. I'm not doing anything. I didn't do anything great. More than anyone. There are people who have sacrificed more, but I'm just another individuals who try to fight and speak up for the right of all of our people. I don't believe in ethnic politics. I don't believe in a religious politics. I believe in the humanity. We are one people. What makes us to be ones is the land that we all come from and the land that we will all go back to. What makes us one is Ethiopia. And what makes us one as all of these things is our humanity. So people who don't know me, that is how I describe myself, as a simple activist, individuals who want to try to contribute for the betterment of all Ethiopian, not even all Ethiopian, even our neighbors, and for the betterment of the humanity.
Well, let's talk about when and how you started this, activism, human rights, to become a human rights activist, to become a voice for, the people who are suppressed here in the inside. And let's talk about that. What was the triggering point that pushed you forward, to become an activist?
Yeah, that's a very good question. Yes, I left the country when I was young, and I went and lived in Canada. And then, then I came back to Ethiopia in the early 2000s, 2001, 2002 I was here, 2003 I was here. And then in 2003 there was a problem in Gambela between the federal government and regional governments. At that time there were really a horrible human rights abuse in the Gambela region, and December 13, 2003, to be of exact date, so almost 16 years ago, and so when people were killed most of the people who were killed are the people that whom I know, because I was going there. It's actually out of 424, almost about 317 I know. These are my former teachers, my uncles, my brother, father-in-laws, and my, all my co-workers, my, friends and childhood friends. So yeah, that really had a big impact on me. Those people that I remember when I got the name, the list of the peoples, it's just like someone sending you a list from the people in the church or in the school, and as you go through one by one, you realize that you know the names, but at the end of the day, at the end of the notes, it say that all of these are dead. So it was really very, very, as you say, that triggered something that made me realize that had I been in Gambela, I could have been one of those people. Number one, most of them were men. Number two, they are from the ethnic group I come from. And number three, they were targeted because of their political awareness. I could have been one of those group. And so I was actually devastated. But one thing that really come back to me later on, that what, I wish I was there, to die with them, so I would not be able to live with the regret that, I lose these people. But at the minute that later on, I come to realize that maybe, I am here for a reason. So maybe then I should do something to try to find justice, find peace and justice for those people. So that really what triggered me, because at the beginning, I was hopeless. I was so discouraged. I was so hurt. I was so devastated. But later on, I kind of come to the point that, maybe God gave me to remain behind so that I could do something. Through that, then a lot of people from Gambela were calling me, telling me, that do something. And then I tried to get involved. I never been involved in the human rights. So I went on my journey in trying to find, justice for these people. Even if I cannot find a justice, to let the world know that there's this, atrocity that took place. So that is really the journey that I took. At the beginning, it's not difficult. It's not easy. It's so difficult. Gambela is a very remote place. The human rights group are not interested in there. Some of the organizations really don't have access to the place. But at the beginning was very difficult, and even not only difficult in trying to get the message out, also that dealing with the government who try to cover the thing to minimize. We know that 400 people died. The government say 19 people. We know many homes were burned down. So, but eventually, I try to work with the people who we know, and then that pushed me to come to the point that what, someone can make a difference. So it is a death of peoples make me coming to the point and say that, I don't want this thing to happen. But as I said at the beginning, it's not easy. It's very difficult in a sense that even my own ethnic group, it is easy to revenge. It's easy to retaliate. It's easy to, to kill the one who killed your family. But, that I thought of it was not a way that will not take us anywhere. So through that I learned and come to the point that, if I don't want this thing to happen, I have to reach out. So I try then my very best to see if I can reach out. And one thing that I always try to bring to people, which is I want to bring that to hand it to you, and I think will be a very good message for Ethiopian and for African, for anyone in this world who are listening or will see this program. I remember calling an American State Department. The killing took place on December 13. On December 15, about 3 o'clock in the morning, I called an American, which is Foreign Affairs, Minister of the American Secretary of State, the Department of Secretary of State, and I let her pick up the phone. I told her that I am calling because there were many people who were killed in Ethiopia and was killed by the government defense force. The lady said, well, people are killed in Africa all the time. There's nothing I can do about it. And she hung up the phone. I was really crushed. And then later on, I called her back, and the same lady picked up the phone. She said, I told you that, there's nothing I can do. I said, ma'am, I heard there are people who are an American citizen among the dead. And she said, what, really? Who are they? What are the social security number? Who's their next of kid? What city did they live in? What's their zip code number? When did they leave America? So One thing I found was that the lady was really become very interested and really trying to get involved into what happened. She's more interested. And then she told me that, okay, give me your phone numbers. And I gave her the phone numbers. Just within less than about 10 minutes, a gentleman called from Addis Ababa and said that I'm a U.S. Marine. We are going to go to Gambela to see if we can find these people. Do you know their telephone number? Where can we find them? So what I'm saying, what I come to realize that we live in a world. Those guys who are American respond to them, they are an Ethiopian, they are from Gambela. The only reason that Americans respond to them because they have an American passport. That struck me that the world we live in, we talk about human rights, we talk about unity, we talk about equality, we talk about justice. But we live in a world there where the color of your passport can value your life more than others. We live in a world that, your nationality of a country that where you are can make your life more precious or more protected, or you will gain justice not by being a human but by having a passport of certain place. That really struck me much more. And I think those are some of the things that made me to come to the point that something has to be done. If we have to turn that around, and this happening in different countries, would Ethiopia respond to that to their citizens? Would the government respond to that? So those are some of the journey that really my aim is first struggle. But eventually I came to the point where I came to realize that the problem, the death of Gambela and the Anuak who died there, the 400 people, I would like to do whatever I can to make sure people know, but also to make sure that another Ethiopian, people know, but also to make sure that another Ethiopian will not get a list of 400 or 4 people or 500 of their family member or friend being killed for no any other reasons. And that really what took me the journey. At the beginning, we started an organization called Anuak Justice Council to protect the right of the Anuak. Anuak are very tiny. They are not even 1% of the Ethiopian population, maybe 0.1%. The population is less than 100,000 people worldwide, and there many of them are uneducated, But if there are, 400 of them can be killed within one day, 400 people, a good portion of people only who are less than 100,000. So we realize that these are a group of people who their survival as a people is in danger. We created an organization called Anuak Justice Council to protect the right of the Anuak wherever they are found. And then while I was the director of international advocacy, we traveled to many places, to Geneva and all of these places and talked to those. By that time, we were by ourselves. The rest of the Ethiopians were not with us. But later, I learned that the justice that I'm seeking will not come to the Gambela unless the rest of Ethiopians are with me. It was from that we realized that, sustainable justice, sustainable peace and freedom will not come to only the Anuak. It will not only come to the Gambela. It will never be sustainable to any other group until it comes to all Ethiopia. It was that change us from leaving that tribal organization or ethnic-based organization to create a solidarity movement for new Ethiopia. And that new Ethiopia means they're not changing a map of Ethiopia, not changing the Ethiopian flag, or not changing anything, but changing the thinking of Ethiopia, where whenever we see another Ethiopian, we see ourselves in it. And a new Ethiopia where we value a person by being a person, not because of ethnicity. An Ethiopia where we give opportunity to whole Ethiopian kid. You don't have to go and get in Harvard or go to the best school because your dad is a politician or your ethnic group are in a minister post or you are this. So it was based on that we created this organization that really made me. So it was not my choice. I did not wake up in one day and say that I want to speak up for the human right. Something happened and I want to use that horrible things happen for the betterment of the whole Ethiopian.
That's nice. You told me that you moved out from Ethiopia before 16 years ago or 15 years ago, and you started living in exile. And starting from that, how do you explain the overall process of democratization in Ethiopia in the past 27 years? and the human right handling, freedom of speech, you know, how do you explain the past 27 years?
I think that the past 27 years, I see as someone from outside it, is a 27 year of hopelessness, a 27 year of darkness, a 27 year of disturbance. In how, why, I say that 27 years of hopelessness, because we live in a time where we are not allowed, leave alone to talk. We were even afraid to think for ourselves. And also that the years where our bonding, our being together has been seen as a threat. To survive, to rule, to govern, that the people has been pushed to the point where we have only them is 1 for 5. The people that in Ethiopia we have a culture of a cup and a dir. Even when we are together, we call people to drink coffee. But the system come that the 27 years, the biggest threat to the ruling people was our oneness, our bornness, our Ethiopia with it, our unity, our harmony, our being kind to one another. So leave alone a government. A human body cannot function when the rest of the body is not well. A government cannot function when you put some group that you are not us, they are not us, they are not. So this is where was the 27 years. We use the 27 years of deception, misleading, dishonest, disrespectful, but what we use is we are one. When we were never been divided like this in our histories. We say that there's a double-digit economy. When so many of our young people are dying in the Red Sea and our young women are being abused in the Middle East to go and work for a minimum wage. We were told that, you know, Ethiopians are united. When the boundary of our regions are being put by fence, that we have what a name we call that Kilil. So those 27 years, to me, it was outside. If you speak about the human right, we go in every other places. 27 years where a neighbor will be able to go and take the life of their neighbors. So how many of us have been put in jails? How many of us have been killed? How many of us that, you know, even in every place? So I would say that as someone who is in a human right activist, I seen that the 27 years where our humanity, our right as a human being was not respected. So I may be abroad, but I know what it is. So we have seen that now. In the last 6 months, Ethiopian has just like take a deep breath. We are breathing. In 27 years, you know, before 6 months ago, you and I will not be speaking what we are now today. Because by the time I go, maybe because I use an international passport, I may not be put in jail, but you would not be. Leave alone, we have in, you know, years that where, you know, someone who is a publisher, you know, just because he didn't even write that, because his company print out the ink, that person will end up in the jail. We live in a country there where the rule of law applies to those who have the power, but then, you know, the guilty will be, you know, the innocent will be considered as a guilty, and the guilty are innocent. So now we know the past. I don't want to focus more on that. Everybody know. But now where we are, I see that yes, we have many things that happen. There may be some good things happening, but if you weight the scale is not the same. And where this has come from the conception of the system we have, our constitution. It did not start we, the people of Ethiopia. It says that we, the nationality of Ethiopia. To some point, we say that we have the people of the world, but in us, we come that is Boch bearers Boch. Then we start from conception where we draw the boundary. We name the regions by the ethnicity that live there. Before we have Kefulagar. In a Kefulagar, you can come from anywhere. As long as you're Ethiopian, you can settle there. But the nationality structures, by being there, someone who's their grandfather, their fourth generation live in that place, you may be questioned of what your ethnicity is. So that was where we were. That was the system that we were. That system was a threat to our survival as a human being, as a threat to our survival as an Ethiopian, as a threat to our people, as a one family, as a one nation. We are not yet out of the wood. It's still there. It's not yet completely gone. So having said that, a democratic was not. A democratic is a place where people will have the choice to express their feeling. A democratic where you will elect who you want your leader to be. A democratic is someone that you can participate. But we didn't have that. We all know that. We have experienced that. Why we are seeing the change. So now, what we had back then and what we had in the last 6 months is overweight the last 27 years. Because it makes us to think. We were not afraid to think. We were not afraid to speak. But still, as I say, that we are not yet finished. So we still have a long way to go. From this little fresh air that we have, from this little glimpse of hope of light that we have, how can we maintain this and sustain this? It's very difficult. We have a lot of work to be done. So that work now requires demanding each and every, the politician cannot do it alone. A journalist like you give this kind of platform. A teachers teach their kids. A mother and a father teach their children. A pastor and imam teach their congregation. A community elder go and teach the people what it means to be an Ethiopian, what it means to be a human, what it means to, to love yourself, love your neighbor, love your country, what it means to say that a tribalism and ethnicity politic is a disease that can destroy a family, can destroy one's own self. So now, with this little opportunity we have, this little glimmer of hope, to sustain that, each one of us have to do our share. And that our share starts with ourselves. What can I contribute to this country? How can I reach out to my neighbors? Not with revenge, but with forgiveness, with love. We have to be kind to ourselves, caring to ourselves. We have to respect ourselves. Because again, like what I say about the passport, someone who doesn't respect themselves, no one will respect them. Someone who don't love themselves, no one will love you. The same apply to a country. You will be respected when you are respected abroad. There were a time when Haile Selassie was in power. And when Ethiopians go to some countries, Sweden and Germany and these things, you show the Ethiopian passport. The immigration custom will even give their hand, like salute you. Because Ethiopian by then respected, we have a government that respected us. So the same thing that we have now. So we have this glimmer of hope. The question now is how we're going to use this. So this is not only in the hand of Abiy or Abiy administration or the opposition, in the hand of all of us to say that we have a stake to make this country not great, the greatest country that we can be. It's possible. Other people start like where we did. But I think now human rights, as you said it, good governing, as you said it, rule of law, as you said it, was not there. But now we can make it be there.
We will have a conversation on that or a discussion on that later. And I want to add one more question in this regard. As you know, in the past 27 years in Ethiopia, ethnic politics has been highly propagated, and the society, hold it as if, a dogma or something like that. And in these days, we are back, working to maintain, Ethiopianism, or everybody to talk about Ethiopia. And in this regard, we only see few activists, get involved in propagating, the issue of Ethiopia unity, and everybody, advocates or, become activists for its people, like regional peoples. And we see Obang and few Ethiopians, working in this regard. And what is the reason behind that? And especially many of them, think that Obang is from Gambela, and a lot of people think that only the minority groups in Ethiopia, or people who have low population number in the demography propagate ethnicism. And we see Obang from a different perspective. He propagates about Ethiopia and Ethiopianism. So how do you come up with that?
I think that you mentioned a very good point. One point that I will go back to that. The reason why so many people are more promoting an ethnicity and ethnocentric politic, it is what is popular today. It is what has been used in the last 27 years. It has become who we are. It is within who we are. We've been taught, we've been wired, we've been social engineering with that. Ethnicity is not a bad thing, because it was giving, like the language we are giving to it, it is giving by God to us. Each one of us should be proud to be an ethnicity. We should be proud that we have an ethnicity, because that's what really God has giving part, like they will give us a language. But where ethnic become the problem is when you weaponizing it. Like for example,
Do you think it was weaponized?
Absolutely weaponized. Absolutely weaponized.
As you know, when the students' movement in the 1960s in Ethiopian calendar started, there are two divisions. Some say that, or the currently administrative powers think that there was ethnic, suppression, or people were oppressed by the government due to their ethnicity, and they came to the power to reverse that. And we have been working for the past 27 years, of course, to hold the people their ethnicity. Do you think that will have a problem?
Oh, absolutely. Just I say that, it has been weaponized. Like for example, uranium, as a uranium cannot be, will not be harmful to people. It is when you weaponizing it, it becomes an hydro bomb that killed people. Ethnicity has been used the same thing. In Ethiopian politics, the ethnicity that we are talking about, it was actually created from before. Through the years, people has been known. There was a gentleman by the time, Waleling, from Wallo. And that time he was the one who used this idea of nation nationality. Even he went to the point say that, we all actually should come together as ethnic group, and when that need be, we can destroy Ethiopia, and then Kazabala Ethiopia can be built as a one. Most of our people, and sometimes our intellectuals, most of the thing we do, we go and copy it. Our intellectual went and copy and bring the communism as what will work for Ethiopia. We went and copied the capitalism as what will work in Ethiopia. We go to the extent even where, for example, Alamariam Dasalany say that, why do you worry about Ethiopian constitution? Because we copy it from British. Our anti-terror law, we copy it from Canada for this. Why do we have to copy? We are Ethiopian. Are we not capable to come up with something original for us? The student movement come with that idea. And then Mallas, because, really is very lazy to work and find that a sophisticated, he go and grab what it has on the ground to put it and used it. And weaponizing it. So to answer, did that weaponize? Absolutely yes. Because what happened was when the Westerners come to colonize Africa, they used the African differences to divide them, to govern them, to rule them. British went to India. The India population is almost over 1 billion people. The British not even half of that.
Okay, but can we say that there was no ethnic questions during that time? Some scholars say that, there was a real question by the people regarding ethnic, groups' right, and the government came to power to address that, and some say that it use it, for different.
Yeah, because one thing that we need to go back to this in Ethiopian cultures, or as a society when we live, there were never any government that come and discriminated those people just because based on ethnicity. Ethiopia was never been like Germany, where they went and discriminated Jew by being a Jew. The Gambela people or Anuak people may be discriminated during Menelik time, during Haile Selassie time, not because of their black skin color or not because of the Anuak. The system in a place that discriminated some of us not because of our ethnicity. We never been discriminated as that group. But some people used it to say that, we were being discriminated specifically by being that. There's no system going to look for Anuak or go and look for some group that to really discriminate them. Oh, you are an Anuak, you are being discriminated. No. If there was a discrimination, if there's a marginalization, if there's oppression, it was all. But coming back to your point now, where with this is, it go back to this point that where I just wanted to come. When the EPRDF, TPLF come to power, before they come to power, all of them went to the bush. The same people who created the EPRDF, not were people who are very friendly to Ethiopia, not people that who love Ethiopia. Why? Because they want to create a liberation, to liberate themselves from Ethiopia. Tigrayan Liberation Front, Oromo Liberation Front, Ugaden Liberation Front, Gambela Liberation Front, Sidamo Liberation Front, Apara Liberation Front. Every one of those people want to liberate themselves. They're not one of them said an Ethiopian Liberation Front. They want to liberate themselves from Ethiopia, not for Ethiopia. And when they went to the bush, their idea, their intention was Ethiopia, Mabal name, Ethiopia is not us. The TPLF formation was not for the betterment of Ethiopian people, not to liberate Ethiopia, because the name Ethiopia was not there. But when they come in and the Derg collapse, these people get open a place. If there had been some people who really believe in a principle, and principle, you will die for your principle. So when the opportunity come in the Derg collapse, what did these people come? They went and grabbed Ethiopia. They should have said that, what, we did not want Ethiopia. We want to liberate our ethnicity. Ethiopia, let it be by itself. But what did they do? They claimed Ethiopia that they abandoned it yesterday to want to rule that Ethiopia. And they ruled Ethiopia for 27 years under the ethnocentric government. Today, the TPLF did not change. So what did they do? In order to organize, in order to govern, in order to rule Ethiopia, they have to come up with a principle that will keep them and maintain them. Ethiopia is just a vast society, so many people in a vast country. To continue as a Kifulagar, they're not going to survive. What do? By to name them as a Kilil. To go to the point in the constitution, if they say that we, the people of Ethiopia, what different do that have with Menelik? What different do they have with Haile Selassie? What do they have with Mengistu Mariam? They have to come and bring the tribal or ethnocentric idea, nation nationality, to create an ethnic experiments, and then to create a constitution to the point that to divide the Ethiopia based on ethnicity. Amara Kilil, Oromo Kilil, Apar Kilil, Somali Kilil. We are the only country in the world where we named our province or our state after the ethnic group who live in that place. When this was done, were the people consulted? We were never being consulted. The public was not being consulted. To the point even that Eritreans were really pushed to the point that where Mallas went to talk to the United Nations to make the Eritrea separated from Ethiopia. Were the Ethiopian people participated whether Eritrea should go and become a country or not? We did not. So the idea was this is a system to rule Ethiopia. We have to come up with social engineer of Ethiopia. And the biggest problem is what? Amara are the enemy. They were the one who ruled Ethiopia. So to make that Amara and Oromo create an enemy that doesn't exist, two major ethnic groups not to come together. This was not only one used this, the Italians used this during the Adwa War. But the people of that time was very brilliant. They even used to say that, you know, Amara and Oromo is like a next step and course step. When you mix them together, you pick them, you know, you try to separate, you cannot do it. But these people have used it, nationality, divided us by ethnicity, giving the land to us by ethnicity, and went on to say that we are not the same. We have now become one because you bring this Berbera Sabotian. So these are what it is. Our people have been brainwashed. Our people have been told this just to rule. That's what I mean, that not for the betterment of Ethiopia, not to bring peace to Ethiopia, not to bring unity to Ethiopia, not to bring equality to Ethiopia, but to divide the Ethiopian people, for few people to continue to rule Ethiopia. And they have done it so effectively. Why today that we have the change that Abiy and Lama brought together? The Amara ethnic group and Oromo ethnic group, have they not joined together? Daggu, Demeke, Lama, Abiy, has they joined together? We will never see the unity we have today. Why today the ethnocentric has become a buzzword that everybody are so excited about it? Because that's what we've been known. We've been social engineering to say that. We live in a country where I can go from Gambela and live in Canada. No one will even know me where Gambela is, what Anuak is, what that is. All I am equal like those who come from Pakistan, from Bangladesh, from China, from Ghana, from Nigeria. We're all human beings. But in here we are saying that you don't have to belong to this area. This clearly is us. Don't come here, don't come there, don't come this. When you grow something, you will be a time when you will harvest it. The ethnocentric idea and hatred was grown in this land. And now it has reached to the point where the same people who will set them up, if there's no good people, they will be eaten by the same thing that they have done. Now where we are as a people, as a society, as a nation, as a country, the ethnocentric politics did not work. It did not work in Yugoslavia. It didn't work in Rwanda. It will not work in Ethiopia. It was done in the last 27 years. It did not work. It will not work now. So how do we do to sit down as a people and say that ethnicity, ethnocentric, will breed division, hatred, eventually will destroy all of us? The way to avoid it, to sit down. Do you have to know my ethnicity for me to care for me if I am hurt? Do you have to know, to have really know my ethnicity to deserve the justice like everybody else? Do you have to know my language and my regions to be given an equal opportunity like every human being? Do we have to? The answer is no. The world is not that. The same people who want to promote an ethnicity and say that you get out of my area, get out of this, they live in Minnesota, they live in America, they live in New York, they live in Los Angeles. No one has ever questioned them. Why are we playing the lie? Why are we playing the plan that can burn us down and destroy all of us? Like if you are born in Gambela, your grandfather is born in Gambela, why would someone say that go back where you come from? Your come from is Ethiopia. Your come from is the land. Your come from is Africa. Where you come from is these little earth. They should not be, and that's what I mean, that a narrow-minded people, someone who don't love themselves cannot love other people. Someone who don't have anything to offer will not give anything. So that's what I mean, that we as a people, as Ethiopians, we are now being put to test. To survive as a peoples, we need to know the humanity of ourselves. We need to know that my survival depends on you, not because of your ethnicity, but because of you are a human being, and above all, because you are my brothers from the same land. It is not Menelik who made us to be an Ethiopian. It is not Mengistu or government who made us the Ethiopian. It is the blood that goes through our vein that made us to be an Ethiopian. It is the land that God has given has made us to be Ethiopian. Above all, our humanity makes us to be an Ethiopian. And someone is telling us that we are not. And we know it. So we know that they are wrong. And our being right is proved by the same people who are preaching division. As I say, that they live in a Western world, and no one ever questioned them.